11:05. I'd like to call this meeting to order. First of all, I want to say hello to our community involvement, our stakeholders, our CEO and staff, and our board members. Can we get a roll call, please, Beverly?
Yes, sir. Good morning, everyone.
Good morning.
Director Emister.
Here.
Thank you. Director Odell.
Here.
Thank you. Director Stone.
Present.
Thank you. Director Lockett.
Present.
Thank you. Director Adams.
Present.
Thank you. Director Robinson.
My glass quite over. My buddy.
Director Robinson. Not present. Director Leggett.
Here.
Thank you. Director Taylor.
Here.
Thank you. And Chairman Cody.
Yeah.
Thank you. Chairman, you have a form of today's
thank
meeting.
Before we move into our approval of today's agenda, I'd like to send our condolences as a board to our Director Leggett, with the passing of his loved one, his mother. I'd like to take a moment of silence, please. All right, thank you. This time I'd like to have approval of today's agenda.
So moved.
Second.
Get a roll call, please.
Yes.
Hello.
Yes, sir. Chairman Cody. Director Emister.
Approved.
Thank you. Director Odell. Director Odell. Not present for the vote. Director Stone.
Yes.
Director Lockett.
Yes.
Director Adams.
Yes.
Director Robinson. Director Robinson, this is the approval of today's agenda.
Yes.
Thank you. Director Leggett.
Yes.
Director Taylor.
Yes.
And Chairman Cody.
Yes.
Chairman, motion passed for the approval of today's agenda for July 25th.
All right, thank you. Now we would like to go into employee recognition above and beyond. Ms. Letitia Dozier.
Thank you, Chairman Cody. It's an honor today, although Ms. Dozier is unable to be with us. I'd like to tell a little bit of the story of why we're recognizing her today, and she will be awarded a pin, an above and beyond pin in recognition of her service. So on July the 3rd, I was monitoring, as I typically do, service alerts, and an unusual service alert came through with regard to one of our paratransit riders. And some extraordinary efforts that Ms. Dozier went to in a very difficult circumstance with this particular client to meet their needs and to do it in the way that we expect that CAT would do, in complete respect and complete dignity, and just an extraordinary effort. In sort of difficult for her in that moment, but she did a tremendous job. So we are very appreciative of Ms. Dozier's efforts and glad to recognize her with an above and beyond pin.
Thank you, Mr. Simone. Congratulations, Ms. Dozier. Next, we'll get approval for our consent action items. Second.
Chairman, I'll enter into a roll call vote. Director Emister.
Approved.
Director Odell.
Inviting customers in this time assistance to workers. We appreciate your patience on our place.
Mute the
If
device.
you saw us this morning, our 10:50 departure, we're just beginning our pre-board. Those of you that took time and assistance.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes, ma'am. Director Odell.
Yes.
Okay,
Yes.
thank you.
Okay.
Director Stone?
Yes.
Thank you. Director Lockett?
Yes.
Thank you. Director Adams?
Yes.
Thank you. Director Robinson?
Yes.
Thank you. Director Leggett?
Yes.
Thank you. Director Taylor?
Yes.
Thank you. And Chairman Cody?
Yes.
Chairman, motion passed unanimously to approve consent items 1 through 5.
Thank you. Next, we are moving to individual action items. We are going to discussion.
No, there's a lot of background noise I'm hearing, or is it just me?
Just you. I don't hear it.
Okay.
No, I also hear the background noise. Makes it, yeah, it's tough to hear.
Yeah.
That's a lot better.
Right. Thank you. All right, going into our individual action items. Financial management oversight, final response and business code of conduct policy. We'd like to go into discussion with that.
Thank you, Chairman. I'd like to call on CFO Cutter for discussion of this particular item.
CEO DeMassimo, colleagues, union representatives. And public at large. The action item on the table is the overview of the financial management overview that was conducted for Chatham Area Transit Authority in year 2022 for the period July 1, 2019 through June 30th, 2021. The review process, of course, is complete. We submitted a draft response in February of this year. And now we are here to submit a final report on what we've done to address the findings of the overview. There were no material weaknesses identified in the process. The action item defines what a material weakness is. It also defines what a significant deficiency is, and also what an advisory comment is. As I stated, there were no material weaknesses. There were 4 significant deficiencies related to the electric bus drawdown, policies and procedures in various areas that needed updating. There were, in particular, a procurement contract that could not be found, and of course, accounts payable bills not being paid within 30 days. There were 3 advisory comments asking that we consider other options of disposal for equipment, rolling stock, vehicles that have reached its useful life. They asked that we notify the FTA. They asked that we notify the FTA when a vehicle is taken out of service, and that CAT should document its internal evaluation program. Those were the comments. The policies that were recommended for revisions was the business code of conduct, 2 areas, in particular, conflict of interest and acknowledgement. One major concern that the reviewers had was CAT had a business code of conduct. However, it was not comprehensive. It did not go into detail that was satisfactory to them, that dealt with family, friends, and romantic relationships. And it also stated that the policy needed a revision to talk about what employees, to make it clear what employees should not do. As it relates to the acknowledgement component, the major concern was that it talked about what employees should not do as it relates to the contents of the business code of conduct and ethics. However, it did not specify what the consequences were to violating the contents of the document. So revisions are being brought forward to address those concerns as identified by the FTA consulting firm and the final report. Ended you agree or disagree with the recommendation. If the board approves the revisions, then they will be forwarded as an approved policy update.
We'll see the new document or the revised document.
Yes, ma'am. I've sent the attached document. And it's very detailed as to everything that we will be reporting.
And I was interested in knowing about the electric bus drawdown. What is that about?
With the electric bus drawdown, there were multiple funding sources. CERTA, which is a state agency. It was FTA, and then of course it was SPLOST. The FTA drawdown was a bit different than most FTA drawdowns. Normally it's 80-20. On this particular project, the FTA component was 37% in lieu of the 80%. So the drawdown was at the 80% versus the 37%. Are there any other questions? If not, that concludes the overview of the FM.
No more questions? Next, we'll be going into ferry maintenance facility.
Did you want to go ahead and take a vote on that?
Yes, we got to take a vote. Sorry.
We need a motion.
Need a motion.
I move to approve.
I'll second.
Okay, we have a motion made by Director Emister and seconded by Director Adams and Director Stone. I'll do a roll call vote. Director Emister?
Yes.
Thank you. Director Odell? Director Odell? Not present for the vote. Director Stone?
Yes.
Thank you. Director Lockett?
I'm here.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you.
Yes, okay.
Director Lockett? Director Adams?
Yes.
Thank you. Director Robinson?
Yes.
Thank you. Director Leggett?
Yes.
Thank you. Director Taylor?
Yes.
Thank you. And Chairman Cody?
Yes.
Thank you. Chairman, motion passed to approve the financial management oversight, final response, and code of conduct policy revisions.
Thank you. Next, we have a ferry maintenance facility. construction.
Thank you, Chairman. I will begin presenting this, and Ms. Cutter may also have some additional information to share. I did want to refresh everyone's memory. This is the older grant that I know that you have heard some comments about. There was some question early in the year about making sure that we met the guidelines and the deadlines on this particular grant before these funds lapsed. I'm proud to report that this action today certainly memorializes that we recovered from that position of a potential lapse, and in fact are ready to issue the invitation for bid for the construction of the ferry maintenance facility and the new ferry dock. So we also in all of the grant work that had to be done to bring this forward to a current status, you'll also see in the attachments that there was an in-kind letter of donation from the city and other partnerships that are represented in this project. Ms. Cutter, were there other items that you would add to that?
I just wanted to stress the importance of community partnerships with this project.
Absolutely.
Great support, very much needed facility, and just to remind the board of the existing conditions of the area maintenance component, comprising several parking spaces within the garage. So this is just great progress.
One other thing too that I think is important to point out is we have updated cost estimates on both of these facilities, and the grants that we have available and the funding commitment that is shown in this agenda item we aren't expecting any budget surprises on either of these.
I think in it, 400,000, that the cost estimate
On which one, ma'am?
on the ferry maintenance, did we get?
No, the ferry maintenance facility was actually a bit more than that. Yes, ma'am.
And but it was Thompson Hutton that did the actual consulting, bring it together.
Yes, ma'am.
And what I was thinking about was, so they can't bid on this. They don't, they can't bid.
Well, this is a construction bid, so they wouldn't be doing construction. They do engineering.
So there's no engineering at all involved.
No, ma'am. And what we do have though is construction inspection services. And remember the task order contracts that you all approved earlier in the year. We already have one of those task orders ready to go to do the construction inspections that'll be required over the life of the construction to make sure that everything, the quantities are there, schedules maintained, budgets being maintained, and so forth.
Director,
Do we have a proposed completion date?
Director, I probably need to get back to you on that. I apologize that I don't have that right off the top of my head. I think on both of these, we think we're around a 12-month schedule, but I want to verify that before I tell you that for certain. Is that all right, sir?
That's fine.
do we have any more questions from any board members? I got Director Adams.
On those parking spaces, are we renting those or are they just?
I don't think we're renting them. I think we're being allowed to just be there, but it's a very difficult situation. It's not secure. I mean, I'm sure you've probably seen it. It's not secure for us or for the facility over there, and doesn't afford any of the kind of proper maintenance activity conduct that we need in order to make sure, especially the new vessels that are coming in, we've got to be sure that this time our maintenance schedule is strictly adhered to and maintained, and we'll do so. Thank you.
I got one other question with the issues with the IFB. There is a line item on the budget for the specific IFB. What are we looking for? How much are we willing to spend?
It's a grant funded project.
Any more questions? All right. We get a first and a second. Hold on.
Yes, sir, Mr. Chairman.
So move that we accept this report.
Second.
Okay. We have a mover by Director Adams and seconded by Director Robinson for the approval of the IFB issuance ferry maintenance facility and dock construction. I'll do a roll call vote. Director Emister? Director Emister?
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yes.
Okay, thank you, sir. Director Odell?
Yes.
Thank you. Director Stone?
Yes.
Thank you. Director Lockett? Not present for the vote. Director Adams?
Yes.
Thank you. Director Robinson?
Yes.
Thank you. Director Leggett? Director Leggett? Not present for the vote. Director Taylor?
Yes. Yes.
And Chairman Cody?
Yes.
Chairman, motion approved.
Thank you. Next, we'll be going into Department of Energy grant application submission.
Thank you, Chairman. A little bit of an unusual grant application. I know normally when we come to you, we're talking about FTA grants, perhaps a grant to GDOT in the state. But as a part of our SMART grant application, we have several partners on that grant that are also active in other grant sectors, including this one with the Department of Energy. It was a very unusual opportunity, and we submitted a preliminary. It was only a non-binding letter of interest to see if they felt like we would be a good fit for their program, and we got back a very full support to submit a grant application, which we now bring to you for approval. It's due on August 11th, and this would further support the development of CAT's electric charging infrastructure, which we all know is an important part of all the electric vehicle deployment. This would be a $2 million grant with a 20% match requirement. We anticipate right now that that match is going to be in kind, but if there is a need, that's why we put both in kind and or local match. As this project continues to develop, we would come back to you if there were any actual local match requirement other than the in-kind, but we expect it to be an in-kind contribution. Our partners on this grant include Georgia Tech, our SMART grant partner, and an organization called World Resources Institute, which is also a part of the SMART grant external advisory board. They're a nonprofit technology and resiliency organization. We, again, were encouraged to submit a full application for continued evaluation and potential funding selection. And we believe that the important sort of weaker link in all of our sustainability and electric charging fleet development now is that charging infrastructure. And we're also working locally with Chatham County, the City of Savannah, CEDA, the Chamber of Commerce, and Georgia Power in another companion effort to this that this can collaborate with. So we are excited to have a different and funding partner and funding source. We're all about developing those new partnerships and appreciate your support of this grant application.
Can I ask one question?
Yes, ma'am.
Can you just explain or describe an in-kind match to me?
It would be staff time. So if there's we would document the staff time that would be spent on some portion of the project, and the value of that staff time counts. So it's money that we would be contributing anyway and paying a staff person, but we're counting the exercise of their abilities, their actions and so forth on this grant towards the match.
Have any more questions? All right. We have a first and a second to approve the grant application.
I move that we accept this report on the grant application, sir.
Second.
Okay. All righty, we have it moved by Director Adams, my apologies, and seconded by Director Taylor. I'll do a roll call vote, Chairman. Director Emister?
Yes.
Yes, thank you. Director Odell?
Yes.
Thank you. Director Stone?
Yes.
Thank you. Director Lockett? Okay, not present for the vote. Director Adams?
Yes.
Thank you. Director Robinson?
Yes.
Thank you. Director Leggett?
Yes.
Thank you. Director Taylor?
Yes.
Thank you. And Chairman Cody?
Yes.
Okay, Chairman, motion passed. Thank you.
Thank you. Next, we'll have a purchase of 4 12-passenger ADA compliant van for CAT Connect College Program Service.
I'd like to ask CFO Cutter to join us for the discussion of this. This is another one of those, I know we keep talking about partnerships, but this is a part of that new partnership that we had with Georgia DOT this year with the Georgia Transit Trust Fund funding that's enabling us to restore what I think is sort of modeled after what used to be called the senior circulator, but now is a brand new ADA service called CAT Connects. Ms. Cutter?
If the board recalls, in May, the board approved an application to be submitted to the Georgia Department of Transportation to secure funding from the Transit Trust Fund grant program. CAT was very successful in receiving $794,030. CAT has been working towards increasing reliability and improving our service efforts to all of our public transportation programs. This particular pilot program that we call CAT Connects will focus on the differently abled population and as well as our seniors. Prior to submitting the grant application, an analysis was done of the existing paratransit customer base. And what we found was that about 73% of that customer base, the customers were ambulatory. So this really provided an opportunity for CAT to re-examine the way we serve that population, and also to think about a more efficient way to render the service. Oftentimes in planning new programs, we tend to think about what we think people need. But with CAT Connects, the difference is we are going out to the population that we're going to serve in a survey and ask them, where do you want to go? What would you like this program to be? And based upon that, that's how the program is going to be developed. The survey data will come from the 10 complexes listed in the action item that particularly house senior and disabled populations, with the goal of enhancing our service delivery to this population. With this data, as we track it, we will reach out to our community partner, the City of Savannah, to seek ongoing funding to support this program. GDOT is funding the program, the pilot program, for a year. That will allow us to, first of all, enhance service delivery to the population mentioned, and secondly, provide data as to usage and the places to share with our community partner as they make decisions on whether to continue this program.
One additional thing I wanted to mention on the financial impact statement, you will note that this is 100% funded under the Georgia Transit Trust Fund. The amount that Ms. Cutter mentioned that we got this year, remember, this is a part that we got two different portions of Georgia Transit Trust Fund funding this year. One was a line item allocation that was for one of the ferries. The other was this apportionment that we will get, an allocation that we will get on a regular annual basis. We'll always have to apply for it, but it will nonetheless be there for us. So just, I wanted the board, as a part of considering this item, to know that moving forward, maybe that, as Ms. Cutter was talking about, that partnership with the city, it can also be a paired partnership with some of the ongoing funding support that we will continue to get year over year through that allocation formula with the Georgia Transit Trust Fund. So this was a very exciting year to see this program come to us and come to fruition.
Because I was gonna ask, I heard you said funding just for 1 year, but every year we can reapply.
We've got, this is for this pilot, to fully develop out this pilot. We're going to use it to demonstrate the results, to seek other local partnerships, but there will be funding in some measure. It's an allocation-based formula, so we don't know year over year exactly how much we'll get, but we will be getting funding every year through the Georgia Transit Trust Fund.
When will this be launched?
Well, it's the pilot is in progress. Staff has already began to interact with the populations at these locations, soliciting information on the places they like to go, when they want to travel, and that kind of thing, to further develop the program. So it's in progress as we speak.
So if I may add on, we're doing a survey. So based on the survey, we're gonna create a rounds. So it's ongoing. We have staff going to these buildings, send out the survey last day. He said this is provided for the data. So based on that data, we're gonna create rounds.
If one of the locations is the tiny house for a homeless vet.
The tiny house is not listed on this list, but there are surrounding complexes close to it. Now, the survey data is coming from the residents here. However, anybody that comes to these stops have the option to be transported to wherever the vehicle is going on that particularly assigned day.
The tiny house, though, does have its own, the tiny house village, and the other part of that, there's another companion development that's about to come forward. That is a part of Microtransit Zone 3, so they will have their own service outside of this that is similar on-demand kind of service.
Just wanted to make it clear, it's not limited to the residents at these complexes, but if anybody came up and wanted to go to Walmart, they would be allowed to get on the vehicle to travel to Walmart or wherever they would be going.
Dr. Robinson, that the Microtransit Zone 3 is funded by the SMART grant, different grant opportunity, but that is what's funding the one that's serving the tiny village, both the new phases as well as some of that. I still keep calling it purpose-built community development that's all occurring in that East Savannah area here.
And now these vans will not be able to hold wheelchairs.
Yes,
They will be.
they will.
Okay.
What is the frequency on these bands?
The schedule is
Still
not
ongoing.
set yet. It's still in the planning phase, and it will be determined based on the needs of the population.
And I'm sure we'll be updated on when the
Yeah,
survey's
sure.
done and.
Yeah, once the survey is done and the route is scheduled, we will bring it to the board.
It also will be countywide, right?
Yes.
I mentioned the city of Savannah, but we are seeking countywide partners to support this program in the future.
But can I ask one question? Because what I understand, this is a pilot that's 100% funded. But in the description it says to purchase.
This is for the vehicles.
Yes,
So.
This is for the vehicle
to
purchase.
support the program.
Right, but we're not paying any money.
No, it's all coming state funded.
Right, okay. We pay drivers?
No, the drivers are funded in the grant as well.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yes.
This is another reason that I want to really take a moment for the board to appreciate 100% funding opportunities are rare. And the fact that we got both a SMART grant from the federal level and we got Georgia Transit Trust Fund funding, two different pieces of the Georgia Transit Trust Fund funding this year, significant pieces at 100% funding, are cause to celebrate. And the kinds of things we've got to keep rolling as we move forward into the future and the implementation of the master transit plan that you approved earlier today.
So actually what we're voting on is the okay to spend the money that's been allocated to us through another funding source.
Yes.
Okay. Just when I saw the word purchase, I went, okay, wait a minute, I hear one thing, but then I see the word purchase, but I got it.
Are there any other questions? Thank you.
All right.
Did we answer all the questions? Because he has some similar questions.
So we have a first and a second on the purchase of the 412 passenger ADA compliant van.
So move, Mr. Chair.
Second.
Second.
Beverly?
Moved by Director Adams and seconded by Director Robinson and Director Stone. Chairman, I'll enter into a roll call vote.
Thank you.
Director Emerson?
Yes.
Thank you. Director Odell? Director Odell? Not present for the vote. Director Stone?
Yes, I'm here. Yes, I'm
Yes.
saying yes.
Okay, sorry about that. Thank you. Director Stone?
Yes.
Thank you. Director Lockett? Not present for the vote. Director Adams?
Yes.
Thank you. Director Robinson?
Yes.
Thank you. Director Leggett?
Yes.
Thank you. Director Taylor? Not present for the vote. And Chairman Cody?
Yes.
Chairman, motion passed for the approval to purchase 412 passenger ADA compliant vans
No, thank you.
for the CAT Connect pilot program. Thank you.
At this time, we would like to get going into executive director's report with Ms. Faith Massimo.
Thank you, Chairman. My report is generally delivered to you every week in the snapshot document. This coming week will be the third week of the new format, and that format is responsive to the input that I've received from board members in terms of how that information might be more presented in a way that was clearer and so forth. So I hope that that is meeting your needs and appreciate any feedback that any board member wants to offer on the snapshot. In addition to that, I'd like to ask Madison Williams to come forward. Ariel is under the weather today, and so Madison will be delivering the communications report that's always part of the executive director's report. Madison?
Hello, everyone. Hi, good morning, I'm Madison Williams, the Marketing Communications Manager here at Chattanooga Transit. And I'm gonna go through our recaps. So for June, our June recap for the CAT tracker, in the App Store, we have 1,534 new users who have downloaded the CAT tracker. There are now 11,984 total downloads from Apple. For Google, there are 402 new users who have downloaded the CAT tracker, and there are now 2,920 total downloads from Google Play. So in total, that's 14,904 downloads of our CAT tracker. Next slide.
Can I ask a question before you move
Yes,
forward?
ma'am.
We talk about downloads, that's one thing, and how many are actually using it?
How many of those who are actively using it? That is something that we'll have to look a bit further into, and we can get that answer for you.
I mean, the downloads are impressive, but I'd really like to see who's actually using it.
Yes, ma'am. We can see off the data on each platform the actual average amount of users, but we can get that information for you. All right, next slide. Service alerts. So in June, CAT had 1,285 subscribers to our Ride CAT alert system. Over the past couple months, they have steadily increased. In May, it was 1,204, and in April it was 1,148. So it is steadily moving up. Next slide. Same thing with our social media, steadily increasing as time goes along. Typically, we have moments of high increase when there are big events happening within the area. Folks who come to visit, they want to know more about what's going on, and they tend to look through our social media and sign up for our text alerts to see what's happening there. Next slide. It's just a further breakdown. And again, each month things are steadily climbing. It's not like a huge amount. However, it is very, very steady. And whenever we post things, people tend to check it out and share it, which is fantastic.
I was looking for a greater number on YouTube because I'm kind of thinking maybe nobody's watching our meetings or not going back and looking at our meetings.
From what I've seen when it comes to the board meetings and things that we do have on YouTube, there are what's the word I'm looking for? There is a select few who do it religiously, who watches quite often. When we are sharing different videos and things that we do have YouTube, we're sharing those things as well. Things are getting spread out around. So you sometimes may not see the exact number on YouTube right here, but when we go to the actual platforms that things are being shared on, it'll say this particular post had this many people look at it, this particular post had this many shares. And it all does kind of like work in there together. So folks are paying attention. It's just that sometimes it may not be as obvious on the count.
Dr. Robinson, one thing that Madison and I have spoken about too is on YouTube, that's the platform that we also share. We push it out through all these others, but that's also what we use in pushing out our CatCast. And one of the things that we were trying to figure out is how many people are like sharing it in a way, how many people are actually viewing it, because we can see the views like in these individual ways, but understanding the cumulative impact of all that, especially because we're also pushing it out through the public access channels with Chatham County and cities and so forth. So we're still trying to figure out exactly how do you put all that together to really get a good viewshed picture. So I appreciate you asking that question.
Next slide. All right, social media check-in. In the month of June, Chatham Area Transit recognized Ridership Appreciation Month, holidays, and popular events. The electric paratransit unveiling, and of course, our operator graduation. And we posted local outreach events on social media as well. As you can see, those are a few examples of some of the great things we've done over the past month. A lot of happy, smiling faces and great opportunities with the public. Recap for our CatCast, our legendary CatCast. New episodes every first Friday. We film it at the ITC, as you all know. Steadily, these numbers can be a little tricky sometimes when it comes to the CatCast. However, we do take a lot of focus on our YouTube numbers because those are primarily where we're trying to push the CatCast out. That seems to be the easiest way for folks to be able to access it as well. It also has our playlist and whatnot. So whenever you do see our CatCast anywhere online, please feel free to share it and let everyone else know about it. Next slide. In the month of June, Chatham Area Transit was mentioned 30 times in 30 newscasts between media outlets, which is great. They love talking about us. That's fantastic. Next slide. All right, CAT and APTA. In the month of June, CAT welcomed APTA's President and Chief Executive Officer, Paul Skatelis, to engage with community stakeholders and CAT's Board of Directors. Mr. Skatelis toured CAT facilities and recorded the latest episode of CatCast, which features Executive Director Freda Massimo, CAT Board Chairman Peter Cody, and it was also featured in APTA's Passenger Transport Express.
I don't know how many calls I got from colleagues, a lot, because we were above the fold headline story on passenger transport. So CAT was clearly a nationally recognized with the visit from Mr. Scatellis, and he promises to be back for a lot of our good upcoming project advances.
So I don't know if y'all gotten a chance to actually watch it, but it's a fantastic conversation. I thoroughly recommend it. And when you do, please share and let everyone else know about
You guys put Chairman Cody in the middle to bounce it off.
it. I believe he was on like the right side actually.
He's the tallest guy.
Right. It was a lot of fun to watch. Yeah, there was a lot of greatness there, a lot of fantasticness there. All right, if there's any questions?
Madison, thank you for that report. The next report is the service delivery update from our COO, Dr. Manny.
Good morning, Chairman Cody, board members, public watchers, and also my colleagues. I won't do much talking today. I believe you all have my presentation during the committee. The only thing that I want to emphasize on, if you can go to the power transit slide for me, please. I would propose, if possible, to have next meeting, board meeting, to have 5 top power transit drivers that outperform, and also 2 call center advocates. So we, in all, 7 people to come to the board for board recognition. I think that is also another motivation. Yeah, those are the top 5. We've never done this since I've been here, and it's something that I really want to do, so to let them also know that the board at large and our executives appreciate what they do. So if it's okay with the board and CEO, I think I'll get that organized for our next meeting. Can you go to my app base real quick? And I just... So I have I'm going to run through this very fast for time purposes. The CDL that we've talked about went in effect July 10th. We have 4 people in class. So to me, this is like a pilot program because every training, every hours have to be reported to the state. So it's a whole different thing than regular people coming in with their CDL. So we have 4 students in class, and it's 8 weeks, a whole program. We hope it'll be much shorter than 8 weeks. So I will be pleased to come to the board and let you know how that went. And then we have almost 15 students line up to join the next class. So it's
the training program, the hours can be decreased based on how fast the participants go through.
Yeah. They have to pass the classroom setting. And if they pass, they move on now to the field. And then after the field, they do a road test by a state tester to see if they can drive the bus. If they pass that test, then we'll have a CDL. So.
You do the driving training off of Sally Moon, right?
Yes, ma'am.
I was over there one day when you guys were.
Oh, okay. Yeah. The city gives us that facility to train, so it's just very helpful. Yeah. On the power transit vehicles, you all are aware we had 10 vehicles, electric vehicles. Our charging system is still in the works with Georgia Power. So what we're doing is we're using level 3. We're using level 3, which is meant for the buses to charge the power transit vehicles. So we're running them, all the 10, every other day. So it's Mondays, Wednesdays, Fridays, and Saturdays. Because we want the public to know that we have the vehicles instead of them sitting here as a showroom. So that's what we've done. The 3 new diesel buses are all registered. They went to revenue line yesterday. I was very happy that was done. So that also helped on our fleet size. And the operator fixed route, which is a bid where all bus drivers meet and pick up the assignment, also went in effect July 17th. And this is good for almost 3 months. And power transit was also the same done. And that's all the update I have. Any questions? I think I've done very good with time this time. Yeah.
So based on the numbers of drivers you need for both paratransit and fixed route, how are we as far as numbers?
Well, in this industry, you can't predict. I was so happy we had about 7 to hit our target on the power transit. And then we lost almost about 8. So we have HR, everything is going well. We have a lot of applicants. We're trying to do something that is never done. we're gonna have a class size of 10 for paratransit. So that will give us 2 more classes than we all capacity on terms of paratransit. The fixed route, we're down 39 drivers, and with the CDL program going on, that's my hope. 2-3 classes, we get up to full capacity. That's the plan, and I think that the public so far have shown tremendous interest in the CDL training program. So
did you say that you hired 10, but you lost 8?
well, we had, yeah, right now, no, we were 7 close to our target, which is 42, and then we lost almost about 8. So we're back to square one, and now the good news is that we have more applicants than before. We have almost 15 lined up for the next class, and so we think that this will kind of probably ease up all the manpower that we're struggling with.
One thing that is also occurring right now, and this is under Ms. Cutter's direction, under the temporary duties with HR that she maintains, is we have a staff member who was given an internal career opportunity to take on some new skills and so forth with CAT in the recruitment category. And I will say that in these first 2 weeks of that effort, it has been exceptional how organized and how diligent and just how refreshingly the attention to it. And we're also coming up with some new and fresh ideas on recruitment that I think are going to be, that are across the board in all positions for CAT, that I think the board will be excited about in the coming weeks.
Before Dr. Manning sits down, I'd like to commend him on the smooth transition of the call center from this building down to 610 Oglethorpe. If you haven't been there, go check it out. It is beautiful. I told Ms. Val they got to get me a cube down there so I can answer phones. I mean, it is clean. It was just a smooth transition. And also I'd like to commend Ms. Cutter and the purchasing department. They just did an excellent job, great teamwork. That's what this is about, great teamwork, making things happen without missing a beat. I called one day and they were here, and I called the next day to make an appointment, they were downtown. And so, again, great work.
Thank you.
Thank you, absolutely.
Okay. If no more questions, I guess that completes my presentation.
Thank you, Dr. Manning. The next report is the planning report. I think the thing that I'm most glad to report today, and hopefully I'll be able to share her name very, very soon, is that we have a Chief of Planning and Infrastructure Development who will be starting with us in October. About 17, 18 years of experience, and holds her AICP and her MCP, and will be making her announcements, of course, to her current employer soon. But so in the interest of that, we're holding her name for right now, but we are excited that that chief position is filled. Next slide. I think we've already covered that. Next slide. I did want to mention this, the continued coordination with Port Wentworth, Amazon, and Hyundai is ongoing. In particular, we had a very active meeting with Hyundai last week. Hyundai is very interested in van pools and microtransit. And we are, we have in the next 3 weeks, there is a proposal that we owe back to them to sort of begin to really formalize around exactly what they want, where they want it, and when they need it, so that we can bring something before the board and determine cost and all that sort of thing. We're still in that service development phase of this right now, but they are clearly very interested in the partnership with CAT, and we're excited about it. I think it is very likely that a part of that is going to be in that, especially in that kind of van pool microtransit environment, that we'll be looking at what's called a TMA, or a transportation management organization, that where there'll be someone that'll help really interface very directly with employers in terms of helping, making sure those rides are set up and so forth, very similar to what we do with the on-demand component of paratransit now.
Do you anticipate any competition?
Ours will be open to the public. If-
I'm talking, we wanna offer the service.
Yep.
Is there anybody else wanting to do the same thing that would compete against CAT?
I don't know that, you know, it won't be that kind of competition that you might expect. You know, we're prohibited for under charter regulations for providing something that competes with charters, and this would be different because ours is going to be open to the public on demand. So it would be similar to the stuff that we already do, more in a paratransit space, but it would be more in that van pool work, job to work connectivity, or excuse me, home to work connectivity kind of space. But still would have to be open to the public and on demand. Amazon is continuing to work through their hiring right now, and until they've sort of figured that out exactly how many and when they're going to have all their folk on board and where they are on hold with the proposal that we gave to them. And Port Wentworth is in active pursuit. However, one of the things that we are working on, the proposal that we gave to them, is remember the Garden City expansion. I know if you've had a chance to review your snapshot the past couple of weeks, you noted that there is a matter that we're working with our legal team on now with regard to that Garden City expansion, the Rose Nye Hill neighborhood that made a particular comment about that service expansion and the use of the transit tax district levy plus the general fund component commitment that where Garden City directly funded that service expansion. We've got to make sure we get that issue answered as we are continuing to advance Port Wentworth, but Port Wentworth desires, and we're currently coordinating with a proposal with a schedule aim of having Port Wentworth services in place after the first of the year. I cannot tell you how excited I am with the adoption of the master transit plan today. No doubt that is the way that we not only tell the community, but we tell all of our partners at every level that this is the direction CAT is moving in, and we have a vision for our future and a business plan that backs it up. So thank you all so much as a board for the extensive amount of effort that you all spent in helping to craft that plan, and on behalf of CAT as well to our consultant team did a tremendous job, but the community really participated strongly. And so all who are viewing this today as a part of the public, thank you all so much for coming out and for making this truly a community-based master transit plan. Partnerships and grant performance we've talked about a bit earlier, and Dr. Manny's already mentioned the July 7th service change. We will be, next slide. So that's the listing of those July 17th service improvements. Next slide. In addition, we have upcoming, I believe, Beverly, have we set the August 15th meeting for certain yet? Okay. But the proposed date. So the Title VI equity analysis that the board will need to adopt and approve, it is a requirement. We have the upcoming public meetings that will be performed as a part of that on August 7th. We have them in the morning and in the evening to make it accessible to folks who work and so forth. In addition to that, the COA TDP work, we want to present that to you in a board work session. It is a very, that work is detailed and important and not, you know, it's not just something that you can just get in a simple sit down. We want to afford it the attention from the board and the opportunity for your comments and your input that it absolutely requires. So we're scheduling a work session with you to go over all of that before it gets to the board meeting for your consideration for adoption, along with that Title VI equity analysis. Again, remember, this is that short range piece that is about stops and shelters and routes and timing and all those kinds of things.
August 7th meeting is at here or back?
It's at the ITC, I believe. Isn't that right, Madison? Yes, that's correct. That's what I thought.
And then the August 15th dates proposed for board members?
Yes, ma'am. And I think Beverly's working with you all to nail down a time and availability for that date. But we do think that, like I said, we decided that was not, we didn't want to just go over that as a regular agenda item. We wanted to give it the attention it needed and give you all the time to really be able to offer input into it, to understand it, because it's complicated. One of the things I will tell you that you will see is, so we went all the way back to 2018 with our Title VI equity analysis and our analysis of service modifications that have occurred since sort of COVID moving forward, and a little bit even before that. And what you will see is that there have been impacts to the community anytime you do service modifications, especially in the areas of our service. You are going to impact those who need us the most. But you will see also that the implementation of the recommendations of the master transit plan and the implementations of the short-term work in the COA-TDP course correct for that and do it in a pretty dramatic fashion. One of the things that I think in the Title VI equity analysis it's a positive is, of course, that when we did do the service mods, we extended fare-free service to Cloverdale and Carver Village, and that replacing what had been a fared service with something that was fare-free as a part of a service modification is a positive. But nonetheless, what we had to do to address COVID, driver shortages, and these other sort of operational components in the meantime have had a pretty substantial impact, and we want to take the time to really talk through that with you and understand how we got to all those places over those years, and then where we are going now to really bring that service back in a way that meets the needs of the community fully. Next slide. And this shows you that picture. You can see in terms of these metrics of Title VI, families in poverty, minority populations, households without auto access. And then, of course, we were really focused on making sure we were connecting with the public high schools, especially as dual degree enrollment programs are available to the high school students that help them really achieve and go further with their academic aspirations. You can see, though, where we got to between 2018 to 2023, some pretty dramatic impact shown in red, but you can also see that now moving forward and with the service scheduling recommendations that we have and the master transit plan implementations, you can see we start moving back to a tremendous increase in the percentage of our reach in those very important areas, portions of our community that are within a 1/3 mile of frequent service. Next slide. Any questions for planning?
Yeah, could you go in a little bit more detail on the Garden City situation? I'm just interested in how that works. And if you could also, can you not hear me?
Absolutely. So and it was also, we described it also in your snapshot to Director Edminster. So there is a portion of Garden City, and I may call upon our legal team to talk about this as well. There's a portion of Garden City that lies within the transit service district, and there's a of the new Garden City service expansion that lies within the transit tax district, and there's a portion that lies outside of it. The levy of those fees in that area, there's a particular neighborhood because of they're adjacent to an area that's in the new service area that is not charged the transit tax fee right now, but they are. And then with the city kicking in out of general fund, they view that as being taxed twice. So once through the general fund and then also through the transit tax district, where their neighboring community was only in effect contributing through the general fund allocation of the city. So we had at the time looked at a potential solution that was more on the general fund side, but it really didn't meet the needs and the request of both the Garden City officials and that neighborhood. So because we are not the owner of the transit tax district, the county is, we are working very closely with the county officials and their coordination between Garden City officials and the county about how they want to address that issue of the district versus area outside the district. It is a little complicated.
That's very interesting.
It's a little complicated too, because you recall at the last meeting, Director Odell called our attention to the fact that the county about 6 years ago did in fact past the CAT district countywide in terms of its coverage. But it's only activated when we start to provide service in an area. In other words, the tax doesn't turn on until we're providing service there. And there's still some question and comment, and that's part of what I'm going to be working on, a more general, not specific to this piece, although this Garden City question and the upcoming Port Wentworth service expansion have also brought that to bear. I'm working with our legal team to develop a policy document that we will bring back to you that allows us to partner in a very clear way with local jurisdictions and with the county in terms of how this question gets answered moving forward in the future. Especially because we don't control the transit tax district per se, and that how that turn on happens. Does it require a referendum? Does it not? Et cetera. There's just a lot of outstanding questions there that are important for us to get really good, clear, and collaborative answers with all of our partners, and especially the county, and bring that back as a policy document so it's memorialized in the future, so that when these questions come up, 10, 15, 20 years from now, there's something that actually sort of puts it forward. And I think it's going to continue to be important as well as we look at things like Hyundai. Now we're even talking about how we operate outside of Chatham County. So we're going to be developing a policy document that talks about the service expansion areas inside the county, those that are within the tax district, those that are currently live with outside of where services have been activated, and then completely outside of Chatham County. So lots of good information, not a lot of good answers for you today on all of those things, but certainly a lot of good work that's forthcoming to help inform this board and our partners.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So, so
Yes, sir.
Rosemont Hill is getting taxed twice?
Well, I think it depends on, I think that it depends on how you look at it. And I think that they have a case to make that if they contribute to the general fund as a taxpayer, and they also are being taxed for the tax district, I think that yes, you could view it that way. But then the question becomes, well, what is the remedy for that? Do we begin to alter the tax district, or do we find a different solution that begins to encompass more of the area? And then what are all of the needed steps, action steps that are needed in order to accomplish any of those things? It's very much a legal matter, and we've just got to get some good, but does that make sense to you, sir? I want to be sure I've clearly answered your question.
I'm gonna leave it at that, leave it alone.
Well, I guess my question is more about, are we talking about how the lines are drawn? Because you got part in the county and part in the city of Savannah.
There's a line that says the CAT tax district that was adopted by the county 6 years ago, says it's the entire county. Then there's an actual line, if you will, that shows where it's currently being levied, because that is where we provide service.
Right.
And remember, that's parts of Garden City, Chatham County, but not all of Chatham County, and then Savannah. Remember, there's a different sort of levy line too. So again, it's a little bit confusing, and we need to spend the due diligence and time to really, and we've got to work incredibly closely with the county as the owner and the manager of that overall, and the action that they took 6 years ago. This is all just going to require some really careful deliberation, and there's a lot of great minds with different opinions on it. So that's again part of.
But what we have in place will continue.
Yes, ma'am. Did I address that right, counselors?
Yes.
Thank you.
And it's good to see you.
It's good to see you. Got new eyes.
All right. Well, thank you all very much. And next, our Financial Services Unit update report with CFO Cutter.
And I will be going over the financial services. Financial services and human resources update. This slide talks about the account balances, as you see, operating as of the end of the month with $7.5 million payroll 0, grant 169,549, and our Georgia One investment account a little over $8 million. This is a graphic display of revenues versus expenses for the month of June, with the orange bar representing the revenue for the month of $5 million, a little over $5 million, and the expenses for the month $1.9 million. Revenue by category, with the transit tax being the highest revenue source for the month, followed by our agency revenue. And that includes what we get for paratransit services, Dot Shuttle. That's a part of agency revenue. I wanted to bring back an update on our grant program. The list on this page and the following page gives outstanding grant reimbursements that we anticipate receiving at least by the end of July, early August, and that amount totals $4.3 million, as seen highlighted in yellow. Our expenses by category, of course, the leading category, salaries and wages at 44%, and employee benefits at 19%. Snapshot of fiscal year 23 as it relates to our revenue by category, and the highlighted areas, it gives you the actual versus the budget, and then the difference. As you see, in agency revenue is up by $771,000. Our transit tax came in at $711,995, more than budget. Our grant revenue is down in compared to budget, and that's because of outstanding reimbursements that we have not received. And our interest revenue is $233,683 more than budget. And this snapshot is of fiscal year 23 expenses. You have your table showing the actual at $22.8 million in comparison to the budget of a little over $30 million. The graph is a graphical expression with the budget, the blue bar, and the actual, the orange bar, showing revenue versus expenditures for fiscal year 23. A snapshot of our reserve account for the month of June. The interest was $33,838. Of course, no withdrawals, for a balance at the end of June of $8,073,731. Just a graphical expression of the growth in our investment account, for a total for the year $246,883. Graphical expression of our transit tax revenue, to give the board and the public an expression of the peaks and valleys of when that transit tax revenue comes in, when it's down, and it shows that we have to watch cash flow with a keen eye, simply to ensure that operating expenses are covered throughout the year, and this is the number one source of general fund revenue that comes into Chatham Area Transit. This slide represents the transit tax collections for the month of June. The total for the month was $630,811, and the table shows by category in which this money came in. We talked earlier about the financial management oversight review. Talked about the response to findings, the grant draw requests, policy updates regarding records retention, procurement files, code of business conduct and ethics, vendor payments, and then of course, advisory comments. The human resources snapshot for the month, our CEO DeMassimo mentioned, the recruiter position was filled. Internal promotion, Ms. Anderson started on July 10th. This is the snapshot for June. We had 29 applications to come in. We did 9 pre-employment screenings, made 12 job offers, and we had 7 exits recorded in the system. The agenda items, the transit vehicles, the CAT Connect vehicles, the change order for the windows on the 2 ferries that are under construction, RFP for IT support service, and the invitation for bid for the construction of the ferry maintenance facility and ferry dock. And finally, the financial management overview final response. I am so grateful. It's over. Next slide. Any questions?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, sir.
On those reimbursements, do you have any idea when they'll come, or they just show up?
It's just a matter of gathering the documentation for the draw. Is a timely and extensive process. So once we put the draw in, within 48 hours, the money is in the bank.
Yeah,
Thank you.
they're fast. Ms. Cutter, thank you so much.
Thank you.
Good report.
Right.
Executive session.
Yes, sir. All right. Thank you. Thank you, Ms. Carter, for that. Thank you, all the staff. Beautiful job. Before we go into our executive session, I'd like to piggyback off of Garden City. I will be going to Garden City to make regular updates as far as what's going on at Chatham Area Transit. I think this would be a great way for us to bridge the gap between us and Garden City. And I would also welcome any board members, maybe quarterly, to attend these meetings with me, board members or staff. And that way we can keep them abreast of everything that's going on. Also, we had a great trip last week with the board members to Birmingham for a board and board admin session with APTA. If we have any board members that want to speak on their experience with the trip we just went on. Anything?
They made us work.
It is work.
It was just an excellent trip. I thoroughly enjoyed the information.
Yeah.
I enjoyed the interaction with the other board members from different APTA facilities, and I've just created a greater interest just to know more about what other people are doing compared to what we're doing. And we learned a lot, and what I can give credit to this board is they don't miss meetings, they go to everything. So
Exactly. That's the way it's supposed to be done.
yeah, I mean, we went to everything. And it was just good, and it's just insightful.
Including the picnic.
What picnic? I missed the picnic.
Like you said, we didn't miss anything. All right. All right. At this time, we're gonna we would like to go into
We are asking that like they bring that meeting here to Savannah.
Yeah, I seen that. You and Director Taylor. That's a great idea. I would love to.
Yeah, and then everybody wanna come down, Baton Rouge is wanting, is competing,
Yeah.
but we really wanna see them come to Savannah, so.
I think we need that one and we need the big conference, the big APTA conference. We need them both. And I hope that when you talk about going to the conference and getting to see what others are doing, I hope that what you're also getting to do is go, let me tell you what we're doing. Because we're outdoing you on that. I hope that you're, yeah.
All right, this time we want to go into executive session, and a meeting to discuss our potential litigation and personnel matters. We're gonna take a 5-minute break and go into executive.
Do we need a
session.
motion?
Have a motion in a second.
Okay, somebody made it. Thank you.
Okay, moved by Director Robinson and seconded by Director Adams. Chairman, I'll do a roll call vote
Yes.
to enter into executive session with a 5-minute recess. Director Emister, he had to step away just for.
Yes.
Oh, you're back. Okay, thank you. Director Odell? Director Odell? You're unmuted, but I can't hear you. Director Stone?
Yes.
Thank you. Director Lockett? Not present. For the vote, Director Adams?
Yes.
Thank you. Director Robinson?
Yes.
Thank you. Director Leggett?
Yes.
Thank you. Director Taylor?
Yes.
And thank you. And Chairman Cody?
Yes.
Chairman, motion passed to enter into executive session to discuss potential litigation and personnel matters.
Thank you.
All good, Mr. Butler? Mr. Andrew? Okay.
Yeah, because I'm getting ready to fly I already been up there once. I'm going tomorrow to make the change. I'm going tomorrow early to make the change over to the new company.
Miss Stephanie. Miss Stephanie.
There are others who don't think that's accurate. So they have different. So it's called, that's why it gets complicated. About what we offer and what they say, look, we'll just reduce the amount of your general fund contribution by that amount. We'll just take that off of the invoice for annual operating that we send you. We'll just take it off and then that'll pay it back. And they said, no, that's not good enough. Rose not good. It come back to, no, it can come back to them. So then they started looking at the transit tax district boundary. And I was very concerned about that, because I said, if we start letting everybody change the transit tax district boundary, first of all, if it's the county, it has to do that. But if everybody starts doing that, can you imagine, it's just gonna, that's why I said it's very.
Yeah, because what I remember was Rose Hill was supposed to get transportation in the beginning.
Well, and they're getting it, plus the areas around them and that service expansion, but
joined the meeting.
Chairman, we are now live.
Thank you. Right, we welcome everyone back from executive session. I'd like to state that there were no votes taken in executive session. This time, we don't have any old or new business. We don't have any questions or comments. I would like to adjourn this meeting. Our next regular board meeting is August the 22nd, 2023. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Board of
Those who
Directors.
asked questions today, we've been making notes and we'll get back with you this week with answers.